An emergency, I would ask that you exit through the rear doors to the parking lot. We're going to stand for 30 seconds of silent prayer, then I would ask Councilman Gene Hart to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting will be dedicated in memory of Cameron Vasquez. Madam Clerk, would you take the roll?
Supervisor Megan.
Present.
Councilman Hart.
Present.
And Councilman Campbell.
Present.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from September 23rd, 2019.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. I'd like to move on to legal notices, approved and publication of a posting of a public hearing to consider a request for a special permit for property located at 200 Westminster Road, being part of lot number 206, changing its classification from M2 to M2S for special use for an online auto sales business in the town of West Seneca.
Second.
I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Is the petitioner here?
I am.
Very good. Will you come up and just give us a little outline of your request? Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Just basically requesting.
Sir, if it'd be better for everybody to hear if you get closer to the mic. You have to be real close to that one.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, sorry.
No problem. Here to request a special permit for 200 Westminster. It was previously used as an auto business. As far as an online auto business, I put it that way just for, I guess, most people see it as an online or used auto dealerships as a negative. It won't be a used auto dealership as in walk-up traffic. Everything's online. We post pictures online. And then as far as the customers go, it's usually come test drive. They already have the cash ready, so we're not outside, haggling or negotiating, bothering neighbors. It's a very smooth process. I did have a location in Akron previously, wanted to move closer to the city. And then I have an auto garage on South Park in Blaisdell. So we fix all our cars there. So as far as the vehicles go, you're not gonna see any, busted up or vehicles that need to be fixed. Every vehicle at this property will be lot ready, unless it needs interior detailing or exterior detailing. So very simple. I have no intentions of ever having a walk-up lot in this location. If I did, I would have picked the main road. And the reason for the location is simplicity and cheaper rent. And it works. It works. I don't believe you need to have a walk-up lot nowadays.
Are you dealing mainly with used cars, new cars?
Used cars.
Used cars. How many vehicles will be parked on that property?
Absolutely. As far as the planning board, we agreed three outside, 6 inside at all times, whether they're listed or ready or not. So it's not. There's going to be no overloading of the vehicles or the lot. As far as
You'll have about 9 cars on the site at any time.
Absolutely.
Okay. Is there a possibility where you may have more on occasion?
I mean,
I guess the question is there room for more than 9?
It would be tight, so no. I mean, if I realize that there's 10 there, I just take one and bring it to the other shop, so no. It will not happen, longer than a day.
Okay, thank you.
And then as far as, I did have one question as far as the architect went. They did request fencing on both sides of the property, up to 4 feet or bushes. I spoke to one neighbor to the left who is adamant against it. And that was for the headlights pulling into the lot. And that is the only property to the left with people in it. And I was wondering if he can request a waiver to or I have to put it in, because I don't personally use it, so it doesn't matter to me, either way. I'm just asking purely on the neighbors.
Because it's shown on the site plan approval, you'd have to go in front of the planning board again to have it changed. And the simple fact for that is that although the neighbor that is next door right now doesn't want it, that neighbor may not be there next year or 10 years from now, and we need to protect future property owners in the town. So it would have to go back in front of the planning board to not be there. You won't be issued your certificate of occupancy without it being there.
Totally understandable. I will, put them in.
So is he saying he wants to go back to the planning board?
No, he's saying he'll go ahead with the site plan the way it is. He
What,
wanted to
3
change it.
outside and 6 inside?
Correct.
Actually, what you wanna do is eliminate a fence on one side next to your neighbors.
It personally, it doesn't matter to me. It's financially, it's not a big deal. It was the neighbors, they both use the area on the sides, and then they're both, I spoke personally to the neighbor on the left. He's very against it. He uses the property a lot. I don't use it. It's to the left, it's like a grass next to his, he actually has a sliding door right there. He does cooking, and, you know, it's just that he just doesn't want it. But me personally, like, if it's to go back to the planning board, it's a no-brainer, I'm gonna put it up, you know?
Right. What I do when I go out with the code enforcement, look at businesses, unfortunately, the handshake agreements won't work because it's what you agreed to at the planning board, saying it's the 3 and 6 cars. If you agree to the fence, we tell you you don't need the fence, the judge doesn't care when you stand in front of the judge, it's what you agree to at the planning board. So if you wanna change that, you can come back to the planning board and get your neighbors to sign off on whatever the agreement could be.
But I would have to wait for this to be completed, I would have to go back.
That's correct. And I like to thank you for keeping that garage so clean, it's really clean over there too, so, nice job with that.
It'll stay that way.
Thank you. I'm gonna ask anyone from the public that has any comments regarding this project to come up to the microphone. Okay, there being none, I'm gonna ask any of the board members or anyone here who has the comment. Concern? None? Okay, then I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. I'd like to make a motion to approve the request for a special permit for property located at 200 Westminster Road, being part of lot number 206, changing its classification from M2 to M2S special use, with 3 outside and 6 inside vehicles, along with fencing on both sides of the property, for an online auto sales business in the town of West Seneca.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. You're good to go.
Thank you so much.
Great success to you, my friend.
Appreciate it.
Moving on to legal notice number 2, approves the publication and the posting of a public hearing to hear and consider a request for the home occupant permit for property located at 1005 Center Road for a home bakery in the town of West Seneca. I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Is the petitioner here? Very nice. Just want to come up and just give us an overview of the project, which I know you've already been in front of the planning board? Yes, so if just want to give us any of your thoughts and how the project will run.
I'm just gonna want to put.
Try to stay close to the mic, please. You're very quiet.
I'm gonna be opening up a bakery that I previously had, and it was in Orange Park Road. It was Bon Bon's Gluten-Free Bakery. I closed it for my mom. She passed away, so I kind of want to reopen it. And I was gonna do it out of the house because my dad's 84, and we're kind of bonded, and we're gonna, I'm gonna take care of him. So I'm here just to see if I could do that, and that's.
Just make a motion for anyone from the public that has any comments regarding this project. Does any of the board members have any comments regarding this project?
Just give us an idea what the total business will be. It's, you bake to order and then the individual just picks it up at your home.
It will be, it'll be scheduled pickups, and majority of it will be going out. I reached out to my restaurants and they all want me back, so it'll be delivered to them. And then the customers that I previously had, the ones that I know really well, I'll have them come to the house. Other than that, we'll deliver to them as well.
So, other than restaurants and a few, would anybody be able to do business with you?
Those would be delivered because I don't want strangers at my house.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Whereabouts on Center Road is it?
It's 1005.
Is it near Eileen's Bakery?
No, it's on the other side.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a name you're gonna put on the outside? No.
I'm just gonna do Facebook.
Okay. Thank you. I'd like to make a motion then to close the public hearing.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. I'd like to approve the request for a home occupant permit for the property located at 1005 Center Road for a home bakery.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Best of luck to you. Okay, moving forward. Oh, and you just have to make sure you get your building permit. Okay? Sounds good. Thank you so much. Happy baking. Are you the lady that makes those Twinkies? Try them. Okay. Okay, any comments from the public regarding any of the items on the agenda? There being none, there is one? Okay.
Please come forward.
Hello, I'm Jim Randolph. I live at West Berwick, 68 West Berwick. I had a question with regards to a couple questions regarding to the Law Center agreement that's on the agenda today.
Sure.
Okay. I was curious about the contract itself, and there were some things that were somewhat not clear when I was looking at the services provided by the Law Center, and maybe somebody can answer some of these questions. It appears, if you look at Exhibit A, which details the services provided, that the outreach is going to provide 500 brochures. By the way, the cost of this is about $150,000 over a 3-year period. So I was looking at it in the context of what the total cost was going to be. And I was curious about the 500 brochures that go to out to the public. And the first question is, how are they identifying who gets these brochures and who's preparing the brochures? Is there an additional cost for the brochures?
Well, first of all, this is all grant funding that's paying for this, and their partnership with the Law Center, and they put these brochures together, and people are identified by their own reach to the center, or those within the banking industry that recommend this kind of help. Bill Hanley is now in charge of this, so I'm going to turn it over to you, Bill, because I've been doing it since 2012.
And Mr. Ramsdell, the grant, the $150,000 is money it's a grant from the state, I believe. And what they do is the Law Center can't take the money directly, and because they're working in West Seneca, we're just a conduit. We take the money and give it to them. They have to file a quarterly report with us with their bill. Well, the new ones is a little different, but every bill that they invoice the town for, they have to give us a itinerary, if you will, of what they've done, who they've met, and who they've helped along the way.
So do they go and look at list pendants, for example, to determine the properties that are up for foreclosure, or how are they doing this?
They work through directly with the banks themselves, and they meet with the code enforcement. The code enforcement office and the Law Center communicate all the time. They transfer addresses back and forth. Keep in mind, zombie homes is like a pendulum. It's always back and forth. It might be empty today and gone tomorrow, but another one will pop up.
Yeah, I understand what they're trying to do is a good thing, because it keeps property values up if you have less zombie properties in the town. I get that. What I was trying to understand is what the services they're providing and so on. And they talk about a task force in there. I wasn't clear. They say an agenda for a task force. What does the task force do?
Well, the task force is, what their real goal is to keep people in their houses. Sometimes, people fall on bad luck, they lose their jobs or something. Their first task is to keep people in the houses. You get a foreclosure notice and people panic and they leave right away. That house sits empty for 2 years, 3 years. There's a house in West Seneca that's been over 5 years, and it's always the legalities that keep it in that mode. They work as a conduit between the banks, the town, the county, whoever, to keep the people in their house. So they're coming to the next work session, which October 21st, I think.
No, after that.
I'm sorry, November 4th. They'll be at the next work session, November 4th, and they're gonna give an update to all the residents, what they're doing, what they've done for the town since their last meeting. Yeah, I don't know if that answers all your
I
questions.
could add one thing, in addition to trying to keep people in their homes, when there are vacant homes, they also are working to keep the mortgage companies accountable for the properties. And so for example, we have one lawsuit pending that they brought on behalf of West Seneca against a mortgage company on one of the zombie homes here in town, and they're working and litigating on that matter, so they do that in addition.
Yeah, I would think if they fall in disrepair, the code enforcement officer could take that up and there could be fines and all kinds of other.
Well, there could be, sir, but the unfortunate part is that the banks were putting blue tarps on homes, and that we found unacceptable. So we began this opportunity with the Attorney General's office, and they came up with this. So the town is ahead of the curve, and I will offer you the opportunity, you should come. But they've put families that had lost, or they thought they lost their home 5 years prior, and they put them back in their home. They've done that more than to one family in the town of West Seneca. So it's a positive partnership.
Yeah, as I said, I think what the goal is a positive thing. I'm just trying to understand what the services are and how our town interfaces with the
Sure,
the
you should
service
come
provider.
then.
I will, but Bill, you said something a little earlier that it has to flow, the cost has to flow through West Seneca, right? So does that appear on our budget somewhere, or is it?
It's a budget neutral. We get the money, although the town does get a couple dollars for the code enforcement for the services that the code enforcement does. I think on that $150,000, I'm pretty sure that the town keeps about 23,000
Okay.
of that.
Okay, and the last part of this, and there's a creation of a database. Now, Bill, since you're involved with this, now I'll ask you this specifically, and maybe it's not for you, but what does the town do with all this information? They get all this information associated with the law center, and do we do anything to act on it, and who does that, and what's their responsibility?
That's a shared service, if you will, with the county through the county clerk's office, Michael Kearns. He keeps a database, and he's actually building a program where people can look at it. Approximately 6 years ago, there were 99 zombie homes in West Seneca. We're down to 23 today.
So that's good.
It's in the right direction.
Yeah, okay. There was one other thing, and it was on line 2 of item C in the Exhibit A, and it says, one of the responsibilities is to hire a consultant to create a database and train staff in its use. Do we pay for that consultant, or is that separate again? Is that covered by the?
That would be covered under the grant.
Okay.
Yeah, we do use a little services from the code enforcement, but that's just so they can keep in constant contact with the Western New York Law Center.
Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Very good questions. Thank you, sir. Is there anyone further that has any comments regarding communications?
I just wanna know the location. Oh, okay.
No, you can come up.
I just wanna know the location of the law center.
Oh, it's downtown.
It's downtown.
The Mahoney Building.
The address?
The
Mahoney Building is
On
right
Court
in,
Street, it's
Right across from City Hall.
right on Court Street, directly across from City Hall, the state building.
it's right next door to the Statler. Anyone further? Okay, let's move on then to communications. Item number 1 is from Jacqueline Felser. Oh no, it's from me. But it was Jackie's idea, which was a good one. On August 20th, 2019, New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo signed a law into the Senate and in the Assembly bills which waives the state fees for marriage license when either applicant for such marriage license is active duty as a member of the United States Armed Forces, and further authorizes towns and cities to elect to waive the fees. So pursuant to this law, kindly authorize Jacqueline Felser, Town Clerk, to waive the local fee for marriage license and certificates in the town of West Seneca with either the applicant is an active duty member of the United States Armed Forces.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 2 is from my office. Kindly designate Thursday, October 31st, 2019, between the hours of 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. as the official night for trick-or-treating, noting that the residents are asked to please leave their porch lights on to provide lighting and safety for the children, and drivers are urged to use extra caution.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item number 3 is from Tina Hawthorne, our town attorney. Please see the attached proposed agreement with Western New York Law Center for the certain professional services to remediate vacant properties, engaged in community members for foreclosure prevention initiatives, and kindly adopt the attached resolution and authorize the supervisor to execute the agreement.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Item 4 is also from Tina Hawthorne. Pursuant to Section 205 New York State Highway Law, highway is deemed abandoned if not open and working within 6 years from the time it is laid out. Kindly adopt the attached resolution authorizing the town board and the superintendent of highways to sign a statement of abandonment in the form and approved by this office, declaring that the town's abandoned of the portion of the paper street known as Ashley Drive as set forth in Schedule A of Statement of Abandonment. Engineer reviewed the water, storm, and sanitary plates, and there is no infrastructure in the paper street.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Item 5 is from Tina Hawthorne, our town attorney. I hereby request a public hearing to be held at this board to repeal Chapter 13 of the Town of West Seneca's Code, replace it with the new proposed Chapter 13. I have attached a copy of the proposed new ethics code hereto, which will be a subject of a public hearing on November the 4th. The ethics board will plan to present any of these revisions to the code at that time during the public hearing.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 6 is also from Tina Hawthorne. Based on the proposed 2020 tentative budget, my advice is to adopt the attached resolution permitting the town to adopt a 2020 budget with an annual budget increase for net operating expense to exceed 2%.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 7 is from Matthew English. Please terminate Chad Loomis as Buildings and Grounds part-time laborer effective September 7th, as he has secured an alternate employment. Asking the supervisor to sign the necessary forms with Erie County personnel.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 8 is from Chief Daniel Dens. Kindly move to terminate John Pignataro as part-time PSD and appoint John Pignataro as Public Safety Dispatcher effective Tuesday, October the 8th, 2019, at an annual salary of $43,650.72, authorizing the supervisor to complete and sign the necessary forms with Erie County personnel.
Second.
Anything on the question?
Just one quick question. We're filling a vacancy, Chief? We have a retirement, is the chief here?
Yes, he is here. No.
No,
It's-
this is the state mandated appointment that we discussed.
Yes.
Yes, I now recall the discussion.
Yes. Very good. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. And I believe this young man is here. Is John in the audience here? Is he? You want to stand up, John?
Take a bow.
Congratulations.
You're doing, if I recall correctly, you're doing a pretty big job, so good luck and welcome aboard.
Yes. Item number 9 is from Lauren Massett. Please appoint the attached list of individuals to corresponding position and rates effective October the 15th, 2019 through May 31st, 2020. These hires are contingent upon background testing and drug and physical outlined in the town code, and authorize the supervisor to complete and sign the necessary forms with Erie County personnel.
Second.
Anything on the question?
Yeah, the question, the same question I asked at all the meetings. Lauren, how are we doing on the hiring, and have we picked up any new candidates?
Surprisingly, since we talked 4 hours ago, things have taken a positive turn to events. And we are doing a little bit better, and we are about halfway there now. So our delay that I thought was going to be long will just be a couple weeks until the season starts. So Supervisor Megan was kind enough to let me borrow one of her part-time employees. So thank you, I appreciate it a lot. I appreciate it, thank you.
But we're still looking for employees, correct?
Correct. We are still looking for one person for over 30 hockey. We need about 4 or 5 more rink guards. We need 1 more ice rink supervisor. We need 1 or 2 more attendants for the youth gym, and if possible, 1 more leader for the youth gym.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. I have a quick amendment to the Town of West Seneca, this is from the courts. The Town of West Seneca authorized the Town of West Seneca Court to apply for JCAP grant in 2019-2020 cycle up to $30,000.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. We didn't like the language that Maureen put together for the grant, so we had to just change it, just to tweak it. Okay, I'm gonna ask that we accept the reports from Jacqueline Pelzer, Town Clerk, for September 2019.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. I'd like to make a motion to approve the warrant.
Second.
Anything on the question? All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. I'd like anyone from the public that has any comments, feel free to come on up. Ethan.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Miller. I live in 12 Sherwood Court here in Seneca. I have some questions for the board regarding the construction over at 945 Center Road. My first question is for the town attorney. There has been a lot of discussion among some of the councilmen and the code enforcement officers and the environmental commission over what particular fines or penalties do exist under the current tree ordinance law. And I'm wondering if you could tell me if it's a fine of $250 solely, or if it's a $250 fine per tree.
It's $250 per summons.
Okay,
So
is that,
it's not per tree. You'd have to, if you wanted to cite someone for multiple trees, you'd have to issue multiple summons.
is that possible?
It is possible.
Okay, so in the case where we've had 3 acres of trees cleared, they could be cited on an individual basis.
They could.
Okay, thank you. My second question for the board is that I've in conversation with the code enforcement people, they say they can't pursue any enforcement unless so directed by the board, and they have not been directed by the board. I wonder why.
Jared, first, I know the property you're talking about, and you and I had a conversation. Right now, it's in the Fed's hands because he was in a federal wetland. They did the stop work order, and I explained that there's a process. It has to go through that process before it can come back to the town hall or to the town board. So once it gets through that process in the federal, they work out any issues that they have, it will be coming back to the town board at that time.
Okay, so that you have to wait, I mean, if the federal people find the property owner, then you will not be?
Well, it can always go back. Now, he's still, that applicant still has to come to the planning board and ask, get the permission. All those issues should be addressed at that time, so.
Well, that, as far as rezoning, that's a whole other issue, but, I mean, my issue is that we have a tree ordinance in place that states a certain amount of work. An arbor should have been on before anything took place. It should have gone to the planning board, and it didn't. And, by doing so, they should be liable for fines or penalties. Whether that, in addition, the Federal Army Corps chooses to fine them for working without a permit, that is the Corps' discretion. But from the town's discretion, I'm just wondering why, it's not being pursued.
I'm gonna jump in for a second because we talked about the law, and if you're asking about not getting a permit prior to removing the tree, it's unlawful to cut down or kill or otherwise destroy any street tree or park tree without permission of the superintendent of buildings and grounds. So, I mean, we're not talking
I'm
about
not
just.
talking about that.
Okay.
Okay, according to your PDF on your website for the Environmental Commission, it states that this tree ordinance applies to all development, public or private, and that a tree inventory must be taken as part of the planning approval process, and any development over an acre, an ISA board certified arborist must be consulted, a tree plan presented to the planning board before any work begun. None of that was done in this case.
That's
I'm not talking about the developer, I'm talking about the landowner.
You're correct, all of that law was put into place because of a clear cutting project that went on years ago, so we put a tree ordinance together.
Right.
Tree is defined at 4.5 inches in diameter at diameter breast height, so anything that's 4.5 inch or larger is considered a tree. In this case, everything is missing, so how do we know, how do we do a tree count today? I agree you could do a survey.
I'm glad you brought that up, because, you know, first of all, there are any number of aerial photos exist. The existing woods abound that property. Certainly a case could be made for squaring off a certain amount and extrapolating what was there. But I also, that brings up another point, in that Mr. Handler, you and Supervisor Megan were on that site on August 5th. And
not at the same time, let me clarify that.
That's fine, you were on at the same time, that's fine. However, no work stoppage was put on that site until the 27th, after the developer, or I'm sorry, after the landowner / developer, I'm not quite sure what the interactions are, cleared everything, chipped everything up. To your point about how do we know what trees or how many trees were down, that easily could have been established before the evidence was chipped in and shipped off site, but no work stoppage order was issued by this board until 3 weeks after all the work had been done. Why was that?
That's correct. When I was out there with the applicant, he was asking if I had any issues with the project being built. At that time, I said, I don't have any problem with the project being built as it's going forward. My issue is all the trees were cut down. Who cut the trees down? At that pile, there was just a big pile. The brush was still there when I was there. The brush was still there.
All the trees were still there,
Right.
you know, initially, but I mean, like I said,
Right.
after 3 weeks, all the trees were chipped up. I've got photos and I've got video, and that's all been turned over to the Corps. So many other people in the area have done the same thing, and their materials have been turned over to the Corps. But again, you know.
Correct, and as soon as I left there, I called the code enforcement office, and they took the necessary, that's when the DEC was notified. The DEC's not gonna stop working that day.
No, it's not, the
We called.
DEC has no.
No, but they did come out, they didn't come out right away.
Yeah, but the
So-
DEC has no skin in the game. This is a federal website.
Well, the DEC is, I don't
That's
know.
state, that's state, DEC is state.
Okay, well, the state came out, that maybe whoever code enforcement called at that time did start the ball, it started the process. Somebody came out there, put a stop work order on that project. So.
I thought it was the town, it wasn't the town that put the stop order in?
Yeah, we did, yeah, we did.
Well, okay, then I'm
Yep.
confused.
I thought it was, I'm gonna be honest, I thought it was the DEC came and put the stop work around. I've been telling everybody the DEC stopped it.
Okay, but no, it was the town. Okay. But again, since all the work had been done and not everything had been cleared, what exactly were we stopping?
Now he has to go through the process with the DEC. He's gotta satisfy the DEC before, now he can do.
Well, the DEC has nothing to do with this.
The Army Corps is going to decide what he can do. Now, he can take that wetland and make another wetland somewhere in the state. I can't answer for what they're going to do, but
Right.
the process is working its way through.
Right, and I know, I've been in contact with the Corps, and they've done a delineation, which is changing the entire site plan, as that he's originally submitted to you for approval. That's entirely changed now, because you can't develop portions of that. But the Army Corps, in email to me on Friday, it said that site still hasn't been walked over, and they have not accepted his site delineation, so that may change again. So, okay, that's all I have, thank you.
Anyone further? Chief, do you have anything for us tonight?
I do not.
Matthew, do you have anything for us tonight?
No, I do not.
Jeff, do you?
I was expecting somebody to visit us, and I do have a topic that I can speak to the board after the meeting.
Okay, very good. Jacqueline, do you have anything for us? Mary Joseph, do you have anything?
I just wanted to remind everybody, next Friday, October 18th, the Weston Niagara Senior Center is having their annual health insurance and services fair. All the insurance companies will be there with the new regs for the upcoming year, along with some pharmacies, one giving flu shots, They're giving medical information and some other services that support senior living in West Seneca. So it's open from 9 to noon at the senior center. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Joseph. You're doing a great job. Lauren Massett, how are you?
Good, Supervisor, how are you?
I'm good. Do you have anything for us?
Just two quick things. I would like to remind the public that the following programs have started for the season: teen basketball, adult basketball, and adult indoor laps. We have two upcoming events: our annual Enchanted Path and Breakfast with Santa event. We are still hiring several positions required to run our open public skate and youth open gym programmings. The starting date for these programs is pending filling the positions, but things have taken a positive change, so the delay will not be as long as I thought. We have held 3 rounds of open interviews with the 4th round this Wednesday, October 9th, from 3 to 4 p.m. inside the youth gym located inside of this building, the community center and library. The job has been posted and distributed to over 100 different groups and outlets. For anyone interested in more information regarding any of these items I mentioned, please visit our website. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Good work. Megan, great job tonight. Do you have anything to offer?
I do not.
Very good. Tina, how are you?
I'm great. I have nothing further tonight.
Very nice. Bill Hanley, do you have anything, Councilman?
I have nothing to add, Supervisor.
Very good. Councilman Hart, do you have anything for us this evening?
I know that Jeff had an individual he was expecting to present to the board, and I was just wondering, with the holiday season coming, it has to do with, I guess it would be called non-conforming lights, Jeff? Maybe we should just talk real briefly about the situation and what we should do.
Well, I had handed out to the board Chapter 79 of Town Code in regards to artificial lighting and the requirements. In light of the project that was brought to our attention and the display that's being set up, I wonder if the board has an opinion on height and the amount of light, and possibly setting some kind of standard that would require at a certain height or a certain brightness that a person would maybe get a no-cost variance to possibly cover the location, the height, and the light. And that would also require them to get signatures from the neighbors. It would also allow the zoning board to set times, dates, and restrictions on the use of it.
I agree with that assessment. I'm just also curious, maybe at the next meeting we can have a legal opinion as to how we should proceed. This is quite a spectacular light show, and I'd like to find out that if any controls can be placed on it. That's all.
For the public, this is a Christmas display, Christmas lights that a resident puts on his house, and maybe the neighbors like it, maybe the neighbors don't like it. We're trying to come up with, we're being asked to come up with what's acceptable and what's not. I'll be honest, it's Christmas. I wish he lived next door to me.
He sounds like me.
That's for you don't. That's very sweet. You live on a park-like sign. Yeah, received a few emails of concern, so we're just gonna try and address it before it becomes an issue. I thought perhaps maybe we could speak to some of the neighbors that are affected by it and see if we can't come to a positive resolution. But that being said, do you have anything else, Gene?
We do have a proclamation designating October 2019 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas breast cancer touches the lives of residents from every background and in every community, including the town of West Seneca. Though there have been great strides in combating this devastating illness, in 2019 an estimated 268,600 new cases of invasive breast cancer will be diagnosed in women in the United States, and an estimated 41,760 women will die from breast cancer this year. We honor those who have lost, lend our strength to those who carry on the fight, and pledge to educate ourselves and our loved ones about this tragic disease. Whereas breast cancer is the second leading cause of cancer death in women, exceeded only by lung cancer, death rates from breast cancer have been declining since about 1989. These decreases are believed to be the result of earlier detection through screening and increased awareness, as well as improved treatment. And this month, we stand with those who have been affected by breast cancer, and we recognize the ongoing efforts of dedicated advocates, researchers, and healthcare providers who strive each day to defeat this terrible disease. In memory of the loved ones we have lost, and inspired by the resilience of those living with the disease, and now therefore be it resolved that I, Sheila Megan, Supervisor, along with fellow Town Councilman Eugene Hart Jr. and William Hanley Jr. of the great town of West Seneca and the County of Erie in the state of New York, the Empire State, do recognize October and the year of 2019 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the town of West Seneca. And I present this proclamation in memory of my mother-in-law, who did pass away.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you very much. Okay, well, I would ask all of us to remember all those men and women who have served this great country and continue to serve. We thank you.
I thank you.
And you're welcome. And I thank you all for coming this evening, and I bid you a fabulous night and week. Take care. God bless.